Hey guys, today we're going to do my version of fish tacos. All right, first thing I like to do is to make the fresh tomato salsa for my tacos because I like it to sit in the fridge for a little bit and get all those flavors together and marinating. I'm using Roma tomatoes, and you see here I made some slices, and I'm going to go ahead across and chop these up. I'm going to cut all these and then place them in a bowl. All right, and then next we're gonna go ahead and cut a red onion. I'm gonna use a half of a red onion. I'm gonna slice it and then dice it into small dice. Even after doing this, I went ahead and did a rough chop and made it even smaller. Doesn't have to be too minced, but almost minced. And once you have the onions down to your liking, you can chop them even more or leave them chunkier, whatever you want. You're going to go ahead and put these onions right on top of the tomatoes. Next, we're going to cut some cilantro. I actually would have added more cilantro. I didn't realize I didn't have as much as cilantro that I thought I had. But this was just enough for the salsa. I usually like a lot more. And this is another thing that I like to chop extra fine. But like I said, you can rough chop it, make it a chunkier salsa. I tend to make it a little bit smaller dice, especially when it comes for tacos. And once we're done chopping this up, we're going to go ahead and put this in our bowl as well. And I also want to add, if you wanted to chop up a jalapeno, fresh garlic, you can do so and add stuff. I'm really just putting just salt, pepper, lime juice, and that's it. If you want to add cayenne pepper, you want to add some cumin or any other spices, you could go ahead. But this is like a very basic salsa. I tasted it, and for me, it needed more salt and more lemon. But you do that to your liking. If you like it tangier, if you want more garlic, if you want it spicy. This is where you would do that. And when you're done, you're going to put the lid in and let that sit in the fridge for a little bit because I like all these tomatoes and all this, everything to kind of blend together and marinate. All right, so now we're going to start with this cabbage. I like to use purple cabbage, but they did not have any purple cabbage and I did not want to go to any other store. So I just grabbed this. We're going to core it. I like to do this little triangle here and kind of like core it out. And then we're going to go ahead and slice it. If you have a mandolin, great. If you have an electric slicer, make it easier for you, great. I sometimes just, to not take all those machinery out, I go ahead and just do it by hand. And you don't necessarily have to slice this or shred it at all. You can actually chop this up as well and put it in a Robotcoupe if you want, food processor, and chop it up. Alrighty, when you're done with that, you can put it in a bowl. And then I forgot, before I put it in the bowl, I like to sprinkle a little bit of salt on the cabbage. It just helps it wilt just a little bit so it doesn't have that rawness to it, but it still leaves that little crunch. Just a little bit of salt and then put it in a container. So that's what that's all about. Okay, so now we're going to make some lime creme. I'm going to get about 3 scoops here of this sour cream. And then I'm going to put about the same amount, 3 scoops here of mayonnaise. This is kind of the end of the container here, so I'm trying to scrape it up. Then I'm going to put a couple squirts of lime juice and some cayenne pepper. If you have fresh lime, I highly recommend putting the zest of the lime. Wow, will make the sauce a big difference. But I don't have any, so it is what it is. So once you mix that in, test it out. I think it needed a little bit of mayo, so I added a little bit more and mixed that in. And I actually think I added some more cayenne pepper here just to make it a little extra spicy. You can put more or less or none. If you don't want to use any cayenne pepper, you can put some paprika, smoked paprika. That will work as well. Okay, so let's start prepping our fish. I have some flounder here that I bought frozen from BJ's in a 3-pound bag. Yes, fresh is best, but it's not all the time I can get fresh, and this is what it is. Now, when you buy frozen fish, they're very thin and they can break up easily. White fish is very flaky, so I like to cut them down into four so they're easier to fry and handle. When you fry them this big and this thin, it just breaks up in the pan and it's just a mess. Okay, so this is how I'm gonna fry my fish today. I did a cornstarch mix with some Cajun spices and salt and pepper. Sometimes I use breadcrumbs, sometimes I make tempura batter. So it's really optional how you prepare your fish. Just make sure that if you are going to fry, make sure that oil reaches at least 350 degrees. When you place your fish, you don't want to overcrowd the pan either. But place it down, give it a minute or two before you move it or flip it. If you overhandle this fish in the oil before it gets crispy, it will break on you. And remember, this is the frozen fish, so it's very thin, it's very fragile is the word I guess you would say. But once it's nice and crispy, as you can see here, they're better to handle, and you want your fish to at least reach 145. Once it does, you're going to go ahead and take the fish out, and it's ready. Okay, it's taco time. Let's use 2 small flour tortillas. Yo, 2 pieces would have been fine. I ended up making some big back tacos. Putting our cabbage here and our fresh tomato salsa. In my country, we call it chimol. It's also known as pico de gallo. So however you want to say it, put extra of it. Here's our lime creme and a close-up of our taco here. And these are so good. You're really going to like them. And here and quickly, I'm going to show you burrito style. One of my kids wanted it this way. Very easy, kind of much the same steps. And then you're going to go ahead and wrap it. This one's less messier this way than the taco. But either way, still good. Look at that close up. Delicious. Well, I hope you guys enjoy. This was La Nancy's Kitchen making fish tacos.